The Gambia is known as the smiling coast of Africa, the land of smiling faces, and it's easy to see why. The people are genuinely friendly and welcoming, with broad grins and an eagerness to share their happiness with you. But in November 2014, the smiles hid a fear of worrying times. The international news was all about the outbreak of the killer disease Ebola in places like Sierra Leone. The European news shorthand was to talk about death in West Africa. Sadly, this detrimentally affected the Gambia and the other 14 West African countries that didn't have any cases of Ebola at all. They were caught in a downward spiral of fear that was not of their making. The United Nations commended the Gambia for their health programs, which had kept Ebola at bay. But this wasn't reported in the European press. Although the Gambia was disease-free, 60% of worried tourists cancelled their trips. Many of the sun lounges were empty. Waiters stood waiting. This was the beginning of the high season, yet some hotels hadn't even signed on their usual extra staff. For the Gambian families that relied on these seasonal jobs as the main cash income for the year, this was a personal disaster. The usually crowded craft market had very few tourists looking for souvenirs. For some, the quiet moments were whiled away with a friendly game of worry. Meanwhile, the craftsmen continued to make items with the hope that they would eventually find a customer. Some sales took place, but haggling wasn't as energetic from the buyer's side as usual. There was a very real sense that what was actually being argued over was tonight's family meal.
Later on, we check and put them in.
The Gambia is a lovely holiday destination. Another continent, yet only 6 hours flight from the UK, with no time change to give jet lag. A country where everything seems excitingly different, and yet the common language is English. This is a relic of the time when the British Navy claimed the land on either side of the River Gambia to protect the British interests in the slave trade.
It's a long way down.
It's a long way down.
A short transfer on a rather unsteady pirogue will take you to James Island. Here in the middle of the river, the British built a fortified prison from which slaves were herded aboard ships setting sail for America. This is where the slave Kunta Kinte sailed from, whose family story was the subject of Alex Haley's book Roots. It wasn't a particularly noble part of British history, but one that is a key chapter in the Gambian story. Modern Gambia is a poor country, with 60% of the population below the international poverty line. There are no valuable mineral or natural resources. The economy is mainly based on agriculture and fishing. The main crop is peanuts. However, the people have an extraordinary knack of recycling basic materials, such as oil drums, into things like kitchen utensils. Tourism is vital to the economy, providing a fifth of the country's income, which is why any reduction in the number of visitors has serious consequences. The back alleys and country roads are still rough track. They will certainly test your car's suspension as well as your driving skills, and you never know what you may face around the corner. Following extensive work, most roads in the town centres and between the main towns have been modernised, although not everyone has noticed. The transport service is mainly provided by taxis, which are cheap and effective, and certainly less dangerous than some of the alternatives. The towns are bustling and ever-changing. Alongside the bright colours of the local dresses, you'll find the dust and smells of a roadside cattle market. This mix of old and new, town and country, sights and smells, is what gives the Gambia such a special appeal. The Gambians value education. However, the state financing of schools is not enough per head to provide everything, and all students are expected to contribute. For some families this is difficult and schools can struggle. Regular visitors to the country understand the problem of lack of resources, and holiday suitcases are often packed with gifts of paper, pencils and chalk. The Gambia is a birdwatcher's paradise. A good local guide knows them all, and within a short time you can see hornbills, kingfishers, weaver birds, owls, parrots and many more. Even if you don't know their names, you will enjoy their calls and colours. A spectacular sight every Thursday in the gardens of the Senegambia Hotel is the feeding of the vultures. They fight for the chopped chicken thrown on the ground, while the black kites swirl around above, catching the food thrown in the air. There are no large safari-style animals in the Gambia. If you travel inland you might find hippos and chimpanzees, but in the main tourist coastal strip you'll only see monkeys. Kololi Beach Club is situated right on the edge of the forest, and every morning you can see green velvet and red colobus monkeys crossing the grounds of the resort to their daytime shelter in the forest, only to return in the late afternoon. A guided walk through the forest is a perfect way to see them on their home territory. At Makasutu, a different species can be found. Baboons are all around in various family groups. They happily accept humans and carry on with their lives as if no one is watching. Makasutu is an area of tidal saltwater mangroves, where it's possible to take a short boat ride. In the forest, the palm trees are tapped for palm juice, which when drunk fresh from the tree is a very refreshing drink. However, within a day it will start to naturally ferment and soon become a very potent alcohol. The capital city is Banjul, situated at the mouth of the Gambia River. It isn't the largest town in the area, but it is a hive of activity, particularly in the daily market. Fish is abundant in both the River Gambia and the Atlantic Ocean. A visit to the fishing village of Tangi is a real eye-opener. The boats, overloaded with fish and fishermen, can't reach the beach, so women wade out to bring the catch ashore. The main religion is Muslim, but some beliefs are more primitive. In a suburb of Banjul can be found the sacred Kachikeli pool. The water is supposed to have medicinal qualities, although it's not recommended to drink. Ladies come to shower in it, believing that it will make them fertile. It's the home of many crocodiles lurking beneath the green slime. Only the oldest crocodile is so docile that he will allow himself to be stroked. There's also a reptile farm, where you can come face to face with a range of snakes in various sizes. Most are totally harmless, and luckily the guide will tell you which ones aren't.
The strength of their muscles. Yeah, to do that. Yeah.
Travel should be a culture shock, seeing how other people live, tasting what they eat, listening to their music. A visit to the Gambia can provide these experiences in abundance. The country and its people are very laid back, Local timekeeping can be a little slow because, as they will tell you, Gambian time is based on GMT, which they translate as Gambian maybe time. The locals describe all events, good or bad, as being part of the Gambian experience. The major specialist tourist company took the phrase as its name. The Gambian experience will stay in your memory forever. Those tourists who stayed away in 2014 because of a fear of a non-existent disease missed it. The Gambians and their smiles are waiting desperately for the tourists to return as soon as possible, hopefully before the end of the peak holiday season. If not, they face a very bleak and empty 12 months until it starts again next November.